Andrew Weissmann, Where Law Ends, Inside the Mueller Investigation. In the book summary, Where Law Ends, Inside the Mueller Investigation, author Andrew Weissmann takes us through his journey as a federal prosecutor and later as part of the Department of Justice, and the special counsel that investigated the infamous Russian interference in the 2016 U.S. elections. Learn about Weissmann's notable cases during his time at the Eastern District of New York and the Enron Task Force, which prepared him for the challenges ahead. Prepare to delve into the realm of the Mueller investigation, the formation of task forces, the indictment of key figures, and the subsequent misinterpretation of the special counsel's report. Gain insights into the flaws in the current American legal system and the need for stronger checks and balances.
Andrew Weissmann's journey to the special counsel's office. Andrew Weissmann's accomplished legal career, which included prosecuting prominent members of New York's crime families and serving on the Enron task force, prepared him for his role as a member of the special counsel's office. Robert Mueller's appreciation for Weissmann's Eastern District of New York prosecutorial tenacity cemented their partnership, which served as a crucial tool in investigating the 2016 presidential election. Inside Special Counsel Mueller's Team M. Andrew Weissmann leads Team M, one of three teams set up by Mueller to investigate Russian interference in the 2016 U.S. election, obstruction of justice, and Paul Manafort's finances. With Manafort's extensive political and financial involvement in Russia and Ukraine and Weissmann's background in fraud investigations, Team M delves into Manafort's shady dealings. This summary outlines the setup of the special counsel and the key players involved. The rise and fall of Paul Manafort. Paul Manafort, the infamous political lobbyist, had lavish spending habits that raised alarms for FBI investigators. His main benefactors were suspected to be Russian oligarch Oleg Deripaska and Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych. Manafort's close association with Yanukovych during his time in Ukraine, and the dubious political practices of Yanukovych, led investigators to question what lines Manafort was willing to cross. The Department of Justice's investigation into Manafort's offshore bank accounts and companies, suspected to be used to launder money and avoid U.S. tax laws, ultimately led to his downfall. The investigations quickly built a case against Manafort, revealing his unethical practices and lack of moral compass. Manafort's illegal lobbying. Manafort, a former campaign chairman for President Trump, was found guilty of illegal lobbying on behalf of foreign interests. The evidence of his illegal activities came to light when his lobbying efforts for President Yanukovych of Ukraine between 2012 and 2014 were discovered. He had enlisted both a Republican and Democrat-affiliated lobbying firm to paint a more positive image of Ukraine's corrupt ruler. However, neither he nor the firms had registered those activities with the Department of Justice's FARA unit, making it an illegal activity. His illegal lobbying became a crucial piece of evidence in the case against him by special counsel Robert Mueller. During a search warrant operation carried out in Manafort's Virginia condo, significant correspondence detailing his work with Russian oligarch Oleg Deripaska was also uncovered. This included mentions of briefing the Putin government on his efforts to make Ukraine, Montenegro, and some African countries more welcoming to Deripaska's business dealings. Evidence of obstruction. As the case against Manafort was moving quickly, Team 600 was dealing with the issue of obstruction as it pertained to the firing of James Comey and investigations surrounding Michael Flynn and Russian election interference. Team 600 received evidence in the form of a draft letter announcing Comey's firing written by Trump and Stephen Miller, which showed that Trump had tried to interfere with the FBI investigation into Flynn and ongoing election interference. While Rosenstein cited Comey's handling of the Hillary Clinton email investigation as the reason for firing him, the special counsel's office now had an obvious question regarding whether President Trump had fired Comey for more personal reasons. Trump, Comey, and Russian interference. The discovery by Team R in late 2017 revealed that Russia launched an unprecedented attack on democracy during the 2016 U.S. election. The Internet Research Agency, funded by Russian oligarch Yevgeny Prigozhin, used social media to sow disinformation and stoke political divisions, interacting with Americans, including Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, Sean Hannity of Fox News, and Trump advisor Kellyanne Conway to aid in Trump's election. Team 600 confirmed Trump's decision to fire FBI Director Comey before Rosenstein's recommendation, leading to suspicions of obstruction of justice. The Trump campaign and Russian interference. Despite the repeated denial of Russian election interference by Donald Trump, evidence has shown that not only did it occur during the 2016 election, but it continues to this day. The message from the Trump administration seems to be that if it is helping Trump, then why try to stop it? This brings up the question of whether or not there is direct evidence of the Trump administration coordinating with Russia in its efforts during the election. One of the early pieces of evidence found was the infamous meeting at Trump Tower. It is a known fact that Donald Jr., Paul Manafort, and Jared Kushner met with Russian operatives, including a lawyer named Natalia Veselnitskaya. The details of the meeting were unclear, at first. Donald Jr. stated that the meeting was primarily about the adoption of Russian children, but this did not reveal that adoption programs were ended as a result of Obama's sanctions against Russia, which Veselnitskaya was known to be a vocal critic of. Further investigations showed that the impetus for the meeting came from an offer by Russian operatives to provide the Trump campaign with incriminating information about Hillary Clinton. However, it was unclear whether such information was immediately forthcoming. Kushner seemed uninterested in the meeting, but their agreement to meet in the first place conveyed a different message: the Trump campaign was open to Russian assistance. What is perhaps the most concerning part is that no team or task force has been assigned to neutralize this threat. It appears that the Trump administration's position is that if it is helping them to win, why would they try to stop it? Legal deficiencies in the Trump-Russia saga. The question of whether a value received for a political campaign from a foreign entity is illegal or not is the heart of the issue in the Trump-Russia investigation. According to campaign finance laws, candidates cannot receive any money or other valuable items from a foreign source. Therefore, the information that the Russian operatives claimed to have obtained from Clinton's campaign manager, John Podesta, would qualify as valuable information. However, it is uncertain whether this would have been considered an illegal act because there is no legal precedent. Additionally, the prosecution would have to prove that the Trump campaign knew what they were doing was illegal. Trump's public request to Russia to find Clinton's emails could be viewed as collusion, but Trump argues that it was just a joke. Manafort's convictions and Trump's pardoning power. While Team R was preparing to indict the Russian agents responsible for election interference, Weissmann was busy putting together a case against Manafort. Manafort was indicted on 12 criminal charges, including money laundering, tax evasion, failure to register as a foreign lobbyist, and lying to federal officials. He was also under a gag order not to talk about his case but kept up correspondence with Fox News host Sean Hannity while out on bail. Manafort, his longtime associate Rick Gates, and Trump's campaign advisor George Papadopoulos were all indicted. Gates revealed that he had repeatedly shared the campaign's voter data with Konstantin Kilimnik under Manafort's direction. The threat of a presidential pardon was looming large over the investigation. President Trump was wielding the power of the presidential pardon to those who remained loyal to him in the face of federal investigators. This blurred the line between exercising executive powers and obstructing justice. The limits of the special counsel. The book delves into the question of whether a sitting U.S. president could be indicted for a crime and how this affected the investigation by the special counsel. The Office of Legal Counsel has two decisions that prohibit the indictment of presidents, but these have never been challenged before. The author questions Robert Mueller's decision not to subpoena the president as a means of getting answers. The team was constantly seeking ways not to agitate the president, and Mueller opted not to recommend charges against the president since he was not able to defend himself from criminal charges while in the White House, and the decision on indictment of a sitting president has never been overruled in court. The misinterpretation of the special counsel's report. The summary of the 400-page special counsel's report submitted in March 2019 raised one important question: did the president cooperate with Russia during the election or obstruct justice? According to Weissmann, the investigation found evidence hinting at instances of obstruction, but the public received a different message thanks to Attorney General William Barr's misleading statement. This misinterpretation highlights a major flaw in the system, which allows the president to appoint individuals who will be loyal to him. The United States needs better checks and balances to avoid further power abuses.
As we wrap up this remarkable journey through the Mueller investigation, we have seen how Weissmann's storied career brought him to the forefront of one of the most significant investigations in recent American history. We followed the formation of the 3 special counsel teams, their joint achievements, and the discovery of crucial evidence against key players such as Paul Manafort. Despite the challenges they faced, including the blurred line between exercising executive powers and obstructing justice set by President Trump, the teams managed to build a strong case. However, the misinterpretation of the special counsel's report by the Attorney General revealed a deep-seated flaw in the American legal system, emphasizing the need for reform and improved checks and balances to prevent further abuses of power.